Hey guys, let's start talking about these macronutrients in just a little bit more detail. Something that will probably create a more advanced study course for in some of the future blocks, at least giving you different, deeper looks into the functions of each in the body. But let's start out talking about protein, carbs, and fat. Today we'll cover protein. And I mentioned in the very first week how there are certain levels of protein that are right for our body. And this is because protein is very structural in its essence in our body. There are amino acids that are in protein. Protein is broken down into aminos. And our body uses those to build things. So all of the chemical structure in our cells are built with these amino acids. But they're also incredibly necessary for the function in our body. So biochemical things happening in our body, every catalyst is an amino acid. So you will see that even things in terms of immunity and in just function, how things can transport in and out of cells is very dependent on having the right amino acids. So I do want to say that protein gets kind of beat up on both ends. There are people who think that we consume way too much protein in our culture, and some people can just because the volume of our food is too high. Some people think we consume way too less and we're very deficient. That's not really that necessary. But most of the science agencies have concluded in the last few years that about 2 times the RDA is where most people thrive. So I weigh 170 pounds, and the RDA for me, if you did the math, 0.8 grams of protein, 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of healthy body weight. That would put me around 55, maybe 60 grams of protein a day. And that would be the minimum. So pretty much 2 small chicken breasts or a scoop of protein powder in a chicken breast would be all the protein I need. And that's true. I can survive like that, but I've done a lot of body comp analysis over the last decades of my life. And I know when I get to that 2 times the RDA level, so more like 120 or so, that's when my body can gain lean body mass in my efforts to build muscle and strength. That's the threshold I need to cross, 2 times the RDA, for that to happen. And if I'm not consistently at that level, I can start seeing lean body mass decrease. That's something I've tracked over time with body comp analysis. First hydrostatic weighing, even caliper measurements, now from DEXA scanning to in-body bioelectrical impedance scanning. All of those have some value, but over time you really see those trajectories of what you're doing and how your body is responding. So with protein, more on a basic level, a day-to-day thing that you're going to see is because protein takes so long to digest, it's structurally so dense, the more protein you consume, the less hunger you're going to feel. There's a volumetric and a thermogenic effect to protein. Studies have even proven this. So you can give adults and children protein at breakfast or no protein at breakfast, and without even monitoring their own individual food intake, they naturally eat hundreds of calories less on the days they have protein at breakfast, so showing the importance of that. And again, this isn't something that you have to scale out an exact amount of protein with every single meal. There are times of the day and certain meals where you don't need protein. If you had a good amount at one large meal here and you're going to have another amount here, in between you could have a snack that's not necessarily protein based. But the really important thing functionally, before we maybe talk later on about some structural aspects in lean body mass gain, functionally you really will see some compliance increases, your ability to just be happy with your food intake if protein is pretty consistent. And so it's up to you and maybe with your coach's help or some of your peer teammate support of asking for suggestions. How do you guys get more protein in your diet? What are some recipes and ways that you guys do that? That's always a fun thing to get input for. So for right now, that's all I want you to know is we need you to get up to a certain amount, but you don't necessarily have to go too much higher. We just need you to keep from being too low and then really paying attention to some of those consistency issues.